Hey everybody, it's me, Greg Bosson, CPA and president of QuickBooks Made Easy for Nonprofits with this month's Quick Tip. This is July of 2022. This tip is specifically for those of you using the online edition of QuickBooks. And this tip, let me tell you, usually my tips are, either basic or intermediate. This is probably the most advanced tip that I've ever taught. So hopefully this won't raise more questions than it answers. But I encourage you to watch this because this is really cool. So this tip, again, it's for those people using the online edition of QuickBooks. And specifically, it is for nonprofits that have what I call lots of little flow-through funds. So best way to explain it is an example. So maybe you have missionaries that you support and you collect all kinds of money for individual missionaries. You collect the money in, you pay the money out. You need to know how much you have going in and out and what's left for each missionary. Maybe you even have to send them a little report, okay? That's like lots of little in and out funds, flow-through funds. Another example would be if you are serving children, let's say as an example, or just serving any kind of person. I'm just saying children because I have some clients that do this. These are children that are in court custody and they're in group homes and the like. And the nonprofit collects money via a contract with the state, money for each individual child. And then the money is spent on each individual child. And you need to see how much is going in and going out per child. And you need to see how much is left per child. So, another example would be a house of worship, where you have tons of little designated funds, and you're collecting money in for a fund, and you're paying money out for a fund. And again, you need to know how much is in each fund. So how are you going to track that? So this is advanced. This is an advanced topic. So some people, they'll use classes, where you have a little column for each class. Classes are departments, or kind of like departments. The problem with that is if you have 150 children or 25 designated funds, then your P&L by class is really a wide report, very difficult to read, all right? Plus, I don't want to have 1 million classes. I don't want to use accounts for it. Then my P&L will be 50 million pages, okay? So if you're not going to use a class and you're not going to use an account, we kind of need an in and out. I'm going to give you a really good idea, all right? This is advanced, okay? So watch this. So let me just show you. So here's a little P&L. So, and by the way, the answer we're not going to be using is customer jobs. So if you thought that was the answer, it's not. So here's a little P&L, and this nonprofit gets money in for missionaries, and they get money out for missionaries. And so you see a lot of people, they'll do this. They'll put an income account in, income account out. Sometimes they'll put this on the balance sheet as a liability in and out. A lot of churches do that. Some others put it on the income statement at the bottom here. The problem is it's not telling it by person, right? Now, if you created a class for that and then you pointed the transactions to the class, then your class report would be 50 million pages and you keep adding new classes. And anyway, it's messy. Accounts wouldn't work because then your P&L would be really nightmarishly long. So what I'm going to suggest that you use is the product service list, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to go to the product service list. I'm going to go to the gear, and I'm going to go to products and services. Okay? Now, if you're not familiar with products and services, they are the lines that are on the sales forms in QuickBooks. And indeed, if you use this method, you must record your income using either a sales receipt form or an invoice form. So this isn't going to work unless you're used to using the sales receipt or invoice form, but it's easy to use, and I have other training on it. But anyway, what we're going to do is, when we're in here, first what I'm going to do is categories. I'd go to categories. Categories are a way to kind of organize your products and services list. I'm going to click on this. And as you can see, I've created a category called missionaries. Okay? Create a category just by clicking new category. It's not hard. Okay? So once I've done that, then I'm going to create a separate product service for each one of my missionaries, or each one of my kids, or each one of my funds. It just depends whatever the flow-through things are that you need to track, okay? So Here's one. I've got 1, 2, 3 here. I'm going to add a fourth one just so you see how to do it. I'm going to go to New. I'm going to make it a service. I'm going to call it, I'll make it myself. I want to be a missionary. Greg Bosson. I'm going to give it the category of missionaries. And now down here, this is where it gets interesting. I'm going to point it to the income account, missionary contributions in, and then I'm going to use this product service on sales receipts to enter the donations that come in for myself. I'm also going to use it on checks and bills when I pay money out. And I'm going to point it to, you see this purchasing information? I purchased this product service from a vendor. I'm going to check this box, and then it'll let me point it to an expense account as well, and I'm going to point it to the missionary contributions out, okay? I've seen people use this for fiscal sponsorships too, if you fiscal sponsor a lot of entities. So anyway, I'm going to click Save and Close. And now what will happen is when I enter transactions, I need to do it using a sales receipt, okay? So I'm going to assume you know how to do this or you'll get some training in it, but Ava Buckner, she gave money to my nonprofit for me, Greg Bosson. So I'm going to pick that as the product service. I'm going to say she gave me $1,000. And classes, I don't need to use them for this now because I'm using them for program admin and fundraising, so I'll just put it to the Aware campaign. That's the name of my missionary program, we'll say. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and save and close that. Okay? And then, of course, you put it to undeposited funds and then later on deposit it. That's more generalized training that, again, I'm assuming you already know. All right, cool. So then as I spend money, whoops, let me get out of here. As I spend money for that, there we go. Whether it's a check or a bill or what have you, I'll just enter it as an expense. Now, we'll do it as a check. Doesn't matter how you do it. And let's say, so I paid. Sometimes you pay the person directly. Sometimes you pay a bill on their behalf. Doesn't really matter. We'll just say that you're paying me indirectly. You're paying me directly, and then I'm using it, kind of sending it to me out of the country, maybe. So I add myself as a vendor here. And then instead of using an account, okay, I'm going to use that same product service, Greg Bosson, okay? And let's say I only gave you $300 because that's all you told me that you needed, right? And then over here, I'm going to point it to, we'll just say, the Guidance Center. Now, in another training, I use Customer Job to track grants. So if this isn't paid for out of a grant, what I would suggest you do is create kind of a make-believe customer called unfunded and put it there, okay? So we're not using, so basically this ends up being for the grant, this ends up being for the program, and then because it's a product service that's pointed to an account, I can have separate product services all pointed to the same account. So I can have all these different names all pointed to the same income and expense account. I'm going to go ahead and click Save and Close. And now what will happen is when I look at my P&L, let me refresh this window. Information should be there, I think. Did this change? Yeah, it did. Okay, so this is giving me all the money in and all the money out, which may be all the overall board needs to see. And again, this might be on the balance sheet. But if I want to get the details, okay, I got to build a report for that. So I'm going to go ahead and build a report for that. So I'm going to go to Reports. And this is a report you would build, and then you would just memorize it. So I'm going to go to Reports. And I'm going to go to the area towards the bottom for my accountant, and I'm going to do a transaction detail by account. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make the date range. Well, I'll start by making it this fiscal year. Where is this fiscal year? Here it is. All right. And then instead of grouping it by account, I'm going to group it by product service. Okay? Now, it's still going to give me a bunch of transactions on here that I might not need. So I'm going to go to Customize, and I'm going to filter this report. And I'm going to filter, first of all, the distribution account so that it only includes the missionary contributions in and the missionary contributions out. Okay? And I'm also going to filter it by product service. You might not even need to do the distribution if you do the product service, but I'm doing both just in case. And I am simply going to check off all of my missionaries, or all of your children, or all of your funds, or all of your fiscal sponsees. I'm going to run the report. I got confused. So here's my money in and my money out. I've got $700 left. $750. I didn't pay that person anything. Naomi Campbell, money in and out. Here's a bunch of money in. Scotty Wayne Carroll hasn't gotten any out yet. $52.75 is a total left. All right. So let's go back to the profit and loss and see. Yep, $52.75 right there. Isn't that kind of cool? So you can, if you want, send this over to Excel. You can screw with it. I'm just going to make these smaller so you see the totals here. How cool is this? I think it's really amazing. And then you'd want to memorize it, save customization. I already memorized one. So I'm just going to go to reports. And I'm going to go to my custom reports. And then here's my missionaries report right here. I've already memorized it. Okay, here we go. It doesn't have me on it because I didn't. Yeah, because I added my name. This is probably a point to say, if you add new names, you'll need to go back to your customization. You'll need to go back to the filters, and then under products and services, you'll just have to check the new names. They'll all be together, though. So here they are. Here's the last one right there. I'll click that. And then here I am back again. All right. So I hope you liked that. Sorry if it was a little long. And if you want to see how to do this in the desktop version, it's actually a little different, and it's actually better. So you might want to take a look at the one that I did for desktop. It's in the same newsletter. Catch you later.